Today's podcast is sponsored by Atomic Golf. If you need custom ball markers, divot repair tools, and more that are made from high-quality materials like solid copper and brass and look really good, then you should check out our friends at Atomic Golf. If courses like Old Barnwell, Landman, Sweetens Cove, and more are already working with them, then you should too. Visit atomicgolf.club and follow them on Instagram at Atomic Golf.
This spring I kicked it off with Bandon, so you don't have much better golf years, I don't think, than I just had, and we're carrying it to 2024 as well. I mean, I'll be in Alabama playing next week. I've got Sand Valley this summer. I've got Northern Minnesota. I've got Cincinnati to see Matt Hyden from Golf Twitter and reunite that Bandon group a little bit and go and see them in their spot. So yeah, I mean, it's about the people, I think, as the golf sometimes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Whole Story Podcast. Jonathan and Robby here. Jonathan is back. It is good to have Jonathan back.
Back on this side of the pond. It's about probably 60, 70 degrees warmer than what it was while you were doing all the other stuff. I was over in Iceland for a little bit. 24 years of marriage with a wife who still likes me, so it was a good time.
That's a great trip, and congrats on 24 years, man. Well,
sure was.
So glad you're back because we have a good guest today. We've got Reed Kremer, Reed's World, as he's known on the Twitter or the X, but he's a great follow, someone that we've followed along his journey. Give a quick little bio. Lives in Denver, Colorado, although he's not there right now. The Twitter bio says walking golfer, donut lover, and giant. So we're going to have to ask some about that. But last year played over 150 rounds of golf. This year on a quest to play 40 different courses. So Reed, welcome to the Whole Story Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel silly not having a visor on. I think I'm going to have to get them into my casual life as well when I'm not on the course.
Yeah, you're every picture we see, man. You are rocking a visor on the course. So I figured I'd pull out the one that a friend gave me from the Augusta National.
So that's the gear that I'm most jealous of. I've never been to Augusta. I'm a annual getting rejected by the system type of guy, but someday I'll make it.
Well, I'll make my standing offer. If you ever get an invitation to Augusta, my house is available. My wife keeps asking, what happens if everyone wins at the same time or wants to show up? Like, it'll be the coolest golf party we've ever had. We'll have so many people here. It'll be great.
I would absolutely take you up on that. It would not be my first time meeting folks from Golf Twitter. I don't know if you caught on to any of that, but I have done quite a bit of playing with the folks from Golf Twitter, which has been fantastic. I've not met anyone that I didn't really like, so it's been wonderful.
Well, Jonathan says he's coming out to Colorado in April, so he's going to look you up.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm. Don't go anywhere in April. No trips planned. So you got me the whole time. That's great.
Yeah, I've got a event out there. I got a buddy of mine that lives out, and I'm like, I've never played golf in Colorado, and they say you can add like 20 yards to each club just because you're up at a mile up.
So we've been joking, they talk about the ball rollback, right? And they're going to roll back the ball and all that. And I'm like, man, I'm going to be at sea level all the time because that's basically the difference. I think in Denver, you're getting 10 to 15% on every shot. So I'm from Minneapolis originally. And when I go home to play golf with my family and people like that, you see me look like a goofball on the golf course because I'm constantly calculating. I'm like, all right. So that's my 150 club. You think it'll go 135 here, with this kind of a day and this humidity and this, all that kind of stuff. So I'm no Phil Mickelson. I'm no, I'm not, or Bryson. I'm not squirting the balls on the range so I know how far they go when it's a little bit more moist or whatever. But, I do make those adjustments on a regular basis. So you'll like that part though, Jonathan. You'll dig it. You hit bombs no matter who you are, which I've got a couple buddies that absolutely need the altitude. I'd like to think I'm not one of those. I average a little bit over 300 with my drives up here, and then it's more like 280, 285 at sea level. So I don't need it, but it is nice.
Just 280, 285, no big deal. Right down the middle, striped it.
I don't know about that. I do tend to be wild. I'll tell you that. Always wild. There's a There's a gal at our club. She's kind of legendary. Her name's Karen Barron. She bikes to the golf course every day. She walks 36 holes every day, and then she bikes home every single day. And she lives in my neighborhood, and I drive 10 to 15 minutes to the course. And she says to me every time she sees me or that we play together, I just love watching you hit it all over the place and then seeing how you get out of those situations. And I'm like, that's not really a compliment, but I'll take it.
So that was going to be my question. So in your bio, you say donuts. And in my head, I'm thinking, with all the golf you play, are you like some ultra marathoner who's like ordering pizza on the 9? Like, what's the deal with the donuts?
No, I've always been like first of all, I have a very addictive personality. It probably doesn't shock you with 150 rounds and stuff like that. But donuts I've always loved. Like when my dad would drive me to school in the mornings when I was little, and we'd stop at like the donut shop and get something. It was like a good memory and stuff like that. So I love sweet breakfast. So you'll catch sometimes on Twitter, you'll catch the cinnamon rolls and the pancakes and stuff like that. My wife thinks it's crazy, and she tells me all the time that you're going to balloon to, a big number of pounds when your metabolism can no longer keep up with this malarkey. But yeah, so I love donuts, and we've got a spot. It's a chain. It's a smaller chain. I think it's actually out of Missouri or something like that, called Lamar's in Denver. So a good little donut chain, and I visit them all the time. And then you two maybe know Voodoo Donuts from Portland out there. They've established themselves in Denver, and I'm not above popping in to get a Voodoo, although I don't always have cash on me, and it's still a cash-only place. It's like the only place left.
I had never considered taking donuts to golf, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like,
oh yeah,
you need to bring a dozen donuts for the first foursome.
And breakfast is a big part of the deal. Like so our course was closed this last weekend, had snow on it, but the north side of Denver was open. So you guys saw me play twice and get up there. I had a breakfast reservation both days for my group before we headed to that course in that city on the north side of town. So it's breakfast and then golf. And then, the reason I don't watch as much golf is because I'm usually napping. It's like I'll try. You put the tour on, or I admittedly, and I'll probably get attacked on golf Twitter for this, I've put Live on before. I've seen it. It didn't fully grab me, but I have seen it. And they're both good nap material, even with the techno music.
Is Absolutely. It a nap, or is it diabetic coma crash from your dozen donuts?
It's debatable. It's a while later, so maybe not, but maybe so. And yeah, like I said, my wife can't believe it. She just gave me I can't believe you can do that without more protein. It somehow works, but no marathoning, nothing like that. My animal, my dog Fred, he requires some walking, so there's some of that. And then in the winter, I've talked about this a little bit on Twitter, but I don't know, maybe not that much lately. I swim. The majority of my workouts in the winter are swimming. And my goal is that when I know you guys, you don't have a season. I know you'll give me that with the warm weather guys. But when the season comes back, my goal is that when I walk 18 holes, our 18th hole is a gradual incline. So it'll make you tired. if you're tired when you get to it, I don't want to be tired on 18. That's my goal, is not being tired on 18. The first time I step out there and actually record a score, I don't want to be tired. And I'm an 8 handicap. It's not like I'm a plus or going crazy or anything like that. But I do tend to be the host for my regular group. I'm making the tee times. We've got a little Ryder Cup style competition we do every year. I host that. We had a buddy die last year, and we dedicated it to him. And we've got a memorial bench rolling out for him on the course pretty soon, which we're pretty excited about. He was it's always interesting, right? The people that die young, you always talk about how they missed a lot. This dude, he didn't miss anything. He was basically retired when he died, and he was 2 years younger than me. So he's 35 years old. He did the career thing. He did the kids thing. He wasn't done with the kids thing. Let's be fair about that. But, he kind of did it all. So, yeah, we've got some uniqueness to the group. We've got some, there's some addiction. I'll say on Twitter a lot of times, you've probably caught, it's like, it's a sickness. Like I got a problem. I played we had 4 holes at our course open on Wednesday, and I played those 4 holes 4 times. So you just keep it going around. Like, yeah, why not?
Why not, right? Well, that's pretty cool what you guys are doing for the friend. I've seen you post about that, and excited to see what comes of it. That's a really cool way to honor him too. So, you post on a lot of your things, Pink Sunday. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, it's funny that Jeff Weather Hack on Twitter hosts Golf Chat, which anybody listening who's not taking part in Golf Chat, it's a good time and a really good community and a good number of people. So Jeff, for some reason, he liked the pink on Sunday as well. But I'll tell you, for me, it was the really simplest thing ever. I had never broken 80 before, and I actually shot 80 on the number, I think it was 27 times before I ever broke 80. But when I finally broke 80, it was on a Sunday, and I happened to be wearing pink. And so I held on to it, and then sure enough, the next time I broke 80 was on a Sunday wearing pink. And the third time was, and then obviously I broke 80, a different time without it, but it became like a thing. And, we do the Ryder Cup style competition, but my regular group, our regular 4, we play 2-on-2 all the time. My regular partner is a guy named Big Steve. So when I say I'm a giant, Steve's probably the real giant. I'm 6'6", but I only weigh like 205, 210. Steve's more like 6'8", and he's probably closer to that 290, 300 kind of range. He's more muscle than me. He's stronger than me, like in every way. And so we play 2-on-2 all the time, and we have a traveling trophy. And Vish, our buddy that died, it was originally myself and Big Steve against my friend Matthias and Vish. But we go back and forth with those matches, and every time it's the regular foursome, we're playing a match. And if you lost the last time, you get to pick. So it's whatever game you want. Now, Steve is, I think he's a 17 handicap or a 16 handicap. So we like best ball, your 2-man best ball, 90% strokes, that kind of, normal best ball. But then the other team, they're both, I think Scott, our one guy is a 9 and Matthias is a 10. So we have the gap in our pairing. And so they'll take like best ball with the second ball tiebreaker. They'll take us to alternate shot when they get to pick. They'll do whatever they can to mess with us, but we're pretty steady. And then we have it's kind of a Viking looking cup, and that you win it, and then you have to clean it and bring it to the match. Then if you get beat, you're giving it to your opponents. But if you win, you're taking it right into the bar and filling it up with. It's been to the brim with tequila before. It's had beer, champagne, wine, and it's almost as good as when I won my flight in the club championship and filled the crystal to the top with tequila. My wife had to rescue me that day. I'll admit.
You say you're 6'6", but at sea level you're 6'2", right?
That's pretty much it. Probably just condense.
It's like the elevation and you hitting it farther.
Yeah. There's some advantages to being tall, but some disadvantages too. I've got some goofiness. I mean, my clubs are all an inch long. I use like heavy shafts, and that fitting took forever to get it right. I mean, I've got a golf tech coach. I talk golf tech a little bit on golf Twitter. I ended up on a couple of those commercials for some reason. I don't know why they would do that and put my ugly mug out there, but he was patient with me because one day I come in and I'm spraying irons everywhere, and then the next day I come in and I'm hitting every iron pure. And he's like, well, neither of these tell us anything. It's like, I'm aware. I was here too.
Well, you talked about last year trying to get 150 rounds in, and you accomplished that. What was the final number? 155?
154.
Okay.
I kind of left myself as an escape hatch down in South Carolina, Robbie, for you down there because Christmas. So my wife is from Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota, and we love our families dearly. But going to upper Midwest in December, January, February is a different kind of torture than you experience. Now this year is a little warmer, but so we usually go on a warm weather golf trip. So I left myself an out kind of. I had enough rounds going into December. I think I had 145 that if I'd only played in Hilton Head and Charleston there. And I played the Muni at Charleston too, by the way. But if I'd only gotten those rounds in December, I still would have made it. But I think, Robbie, Jonathan, I think what you want is how the mechanics of it, like how we got there. Because this is the question I get all the time, because people, first of all, don't often believe that I'm gainfully employed. And I do have a full-time job, but there's a catch. And that is, I live in Denver. I'm on Mountain Time. Most of my company, about 80% of the company, is in Eastern Time. And so I'm an early riser. I don't know if it's a golfer thing or what, but I'm working by 5:30 or 6 every single morning. And I would like to say that I have to do that, but I don't. They would be fine if I worked on regular Mountain Time, but I don't. And if you're trying to find me at 3:00 my time and it's nice outside, you're just not going to find me. And the one thing joining a private club that was so nice is that as opposed to a public course, when you're going and booking and you just see, okay, there's one spot here, there's 2 spots there, whatever, I'm seeing exactly who's on the sheet. My buddy jokingly calls me the mayor, because I used to call this other guy the mayor that would just talk to everyone. He's like, you're it now, you talk to everyone. So I know most of our members. I'd say of the 400, I know probably a good 75%. So there's usually someone to hop on with. And then, I get a little crap sometimes especially from some of the older members. I don't let that cart girl go by without a shot of tequila for me. That just doesn't happen. We have a few of them that we're really fond of, but Karen, who's kind of our matriarch, cart girl at our club, she's not going to pass our group without us getting shots from her. And so, the old guys, they'll give us you're going to you'll fall apart on the back because you'll be drunk. And I'm like, and I think you two already know this, but it's like, it's the opposite, man. You're going to have an issue with me after I have a few.
Yeah. When I lived out in Arizona, I did the same thing. Almost everything was East Coast. So it's like, why not start at 5:00 and be done at 2:30?
It's the greatest
rest of the day. It was fantastic.
Yep. Yeah. It's so much golf, and it's, home club is about 10 minutes from my house. So, the situation's great. That's where I swim. That's where if I need to hit the treadmill or lift weights or whatever. I do a lot of yoga too, but that's not there, but everything else is there. And so, I got an excuse to go there at least once every other week, even when it's winter, because we, our cleaners come, and that's my spot when the cleaners are there. I'll just get out of the house and just let them do their thing. I don't like to be, okay, move me to this room. Like, nah, just do your thing. And I'll go sit at the club. And my thing is, once I'm already there, there's no excuse to not work out. If the range is open, there's no excuse to not at least chip and putt. Because like many big guys, my biggest weakness, and I've worked on it a lot, but it always probably will be chipping. And I don't, big guys don't have the greatest hands. It's not really the thing, but I'll always tell myself there's no excuse that you didn't spend half an hour out there just hitting some chips and challenging yourself a little bit. Because the funny thing is, 150 rounds and being an 8 looks starkly different than my golf game looked, even 5 years ago. Before I started at Golf Tech, I was more like a 16, 17, that kind of a thing. And since I've been taking lessons with them, I've and my one specific coach through the whole time. So it definitely depends on who you're working with and all that kind of stuff. But I've set a new low handicap every single year for myself since I started there. So I grind a little bit. I don't have the natural talent of a Zortman or somebody like that. That's a scratch or a plus. But I don't think I can be challenged too much with my love of golf and how often we're out there and just how much freaking fun we have. Yeah. At the same time, like, we definitely have a couple members at our club that we've got club throwers, we've got stuff like that, and there's this guy in particular that bothers me, and people know that he bothers me, but I will play with him still, and he's crazy about pace, right? So our normal pace is just under 4 hours at our club. Like, it's not bad at all, but you get him out there and he has to wait on 2 shots. And he's mad, and one time I got in his grill a little bit, and I just said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you had somewhere to be so fast after this round. Like, what you got? Is it you got a granddaughter being born, or what? What's going on today?" He's like, "Well, no, I just don't like to wait." I'm like, "Oh yeah, because I enjoy it here. So I don't. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but I like being here. I like being here too." Yeah, it's like, no, you don't. You just don't. So we have some interesting characters that we encounter on the daily, but we're starting to push our club more towards our style. Obviously, like we're hosting our own tournaments now, and kind of taking over some of those aspects. So I'll get some grief on golf Twitter too, just for like how often I play my own course, right? Like you get I would never join a club. It's too boring. It's too boring to play the same course so many times. You get that old bit. I'll call out Captain Pat if he happens to listen to this from golf chat. He tends to be one like, I got to play every different course that I can find and blah, blah, blah. I can't believe you play your home course. And it's like, listen, I got the goal of 40 unique courses this year because I only played 35 unique courses last year, and I felt like that was weak. So, I looked at kind of what I'd done, and I said, this is fine, but get yourself out there. So, you take over that little piece of your club. You kind of, turn that into more of your own. And anybody out there listening that is a club member that hasn't at least tried to put on an event of their own or help the pros do something or something like that, it gives you a little bit more appreciation for everybody at your club and what they do and how all that stuff comes together or doesn't, right? Like people bailing at the last minute and stuff like that. You learn to handle that and do whatever. And maybe a bit of background that is important here that you two should probably know. I picked the range for my first job ever at a club in my hometown of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, called Bent Creek, and then moved into the bag room. And when I went out to college in Boulder, not too shabby of an environment there, but I got to Boulder and I found a club nearby called the Omni Interlaken, which is a great one, Jonathan. We maybe have to hit that up when you're out here. It's pretty fun. But I walked in there, and their director of golf, who was a college teammate of Jack Nicklaus, way back in the day, he took one look at me and he said, I think you can carry about 6 bags at once. How soon can we get you to work? And I took that job and kind of never looked back. But I didn't end up working in golf for my kind of grown up job, so to speak. And I still like to do stuff around the course and screw around. I mean, I put together like our regular games, but then one of my regular guys does a Thursday night money game, and I'm always hovering around that. And it's during the time when guests can come, so we have it's funny, we were out to happy hour the other night with a bunch of our golf guys, and I see one of them and I said, when are we going to get out there and play? He said, it's going to be a while. I didn't re-up my membership. And I looked at him and I said, well, you still have to come to the money game. Your money's always good. and he'll be there for I think some of those. But we've got some stuff going on, and I think getting out to play is almost as much about the community as it is, just straight like I have to be hitting a golf ball right now. Once I went work from home pretty much exclusively back in 2020, I sort of lost that, office, social, whatever you want to call it, and I'm sure you guys can't tell that I'm a fairly social being. So, it gives me a spot, kind of a home away from home to be. And my wife luckily goes to the office, so we're not in there together every day, all day. But still, it's good to have a spot. And yeah, that's what I really gravitated towards. And, this spring I kicked it off with Bandon. So, you don't have much better golf years, I don't think, than I just had. And we're carrying it to 2024 as well. I mean, I'll be in Alabama playing next week. I've got Sand Valley this summer. I've got Northern Minnesota. I've got Cincinnati to see Matt Hyden from golf Twitter and reunite that Bandon group a little bit and go and see them in their spot. So yeah, I mean, it's much about the people, I think, as the golf sometimes.
Yeah, we always talk about how it's a lot more fun depending on who you're playing with rather than where you're playing. Although 40 new courses. So you said you did 35 last year, 150 rounds. Do you have like 180, 200 rounds scheduled this year? Or is it
I,
really just new spots?
I'm going to make an admission, and I might get torched for this one, but I actually set my goal at 130 this year as far as total rounds. I ratcheted it back a little bit, and not because I don't like playing or anything like that. I had a couple days, especially in your like November, December. It's cold, nobody's around to play, and I wasn't feeling it, and I went out and did it, and then I was like, what, and it almost bit me really hard at the end of the year. So I was nervous that the forecast, funny enough, the South Carolina forecast is a little misty. I know Cam Loop was just out from Golf Twitter, was just down in South Carolina and struggling with the rain down there. So I was nervous that I would miss a round in Hilton Head or in Charleston or something like that and miss my goal. And so, I was squeezing in around December, I think 23rd. I played my club. And I was out on hole 3, which, hole 3's got apartments alongside it. And there are, they're nice than apartments. I bet they'd hate me saying that, but they're townhomes or whatever they are. But, like there's people that should be around. It's a hole that can be seen by lots of other holes, but I hit a ball. I've never had a hole in one. I hit a ball straight at the pin. It went by the pin just barely. It spun back a little bit and it lipped out. And when I got down to it, it was, we're talking an inch and a half from being in the hole. And I looked around and I didn't see anybody. And I thought, I shouldn't even be out here. And, what am I doing? I'm going to make a hole in one that no one believes if I don't stop doing this, like, alone thing, just trying to push through for my number. So yeah, I'm going to try to eliminate those rounds when I was kind of just pushing for number, and I'll go hit balls at Golf Tech, or I'll hit the range, or I'll hit the practice green. And I may have a little bit better year in terms of, how I actually play. Although, I'm pretty much at my low handicap period right this second. So I'm looking forward to losing some money at the beginning of the season. I can tell you that.
Maybe your goal should be how many different people you can play those 130 rounds with.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a lot of. See, here's the thing, though. If it's more counting, like I thought it was a lot to count just the rounds. I was like, this is a lot of counting. I've got a list. It's like, this is where you played this day. This is how many holes. And I said to myself that I was going to add up how many total holes I played, because there was times when, I went out to the course and only 14 holes were open, right? And so that day I played 14. And there were days where it was like, I planned to play 9, but there's a little convenient 3-hole loop for 10, 11, 12 that you can get back to. And so I played, 12 that day or whatever. So it would be a very weird number of holes. It would not come out to like a 9 or 18, multiple kind of thing.
That sounds like fun though. But if you're out at his club or any other club and Reed shows up, get ready because he's coming to play with you. So
yeah. You know what? I will say that when I was a higher handicap golfer, I would shy away from like randos and stuff like that. I wouldn't want to play with just whoever. And I even, as far as, and don't steal this and do it to every poor pro shop across America, okay, people, but I would do we have a foursome, but I know we only have 3, and when we show up, I should be like, oh yeah, our other guy's running late. Why don't you just run him out to us when he gets here? And oh yeah, okay, yeah, we won't pair you up with anyone. We know your guy's coming. And then, he'd never come, and they don't notice, and the whole thing, they don't charge your card or anything like they say they're going to. But yeah, I used to be really averse to randos, and I don't know if it's being a little bit better golfer or just being more comfortable in my own skin as I mature a little bit or whatever it might be. But now I almost really enjoy someone new and having someone to get to know, I guess, and maybe I'm annoying at times because I probably pick at people and ask them too many questions, and I want to know this about you and I want to know that about you and everything. But especially at my home club, I think that my group is known for pulling in people that are brand new to the club and treating them very well. And, I always want that to be something that continues. I'll play with, whoever. And I'm a definite dog person. I was, one of the biggest honors I've had from Golf Twitter was definitely getting the Dogs of Turf hat sent out to me. I mean, it's honorary, right? If Fred doesn't work on the course, he's not a dog of turf technically, but in Charleston at the good old Charleston Muni, which was fan freaking tastic, by the way. I know you guys both already know, but that place is just really cool. It was a soggy morning, and I started out by myself, and I got 3 holes in, and it only took me 13 or 14 minutes to play 3 holes, and I got someone hot on my trail. And I'm thinking, like, what is this guy doing? He wanted to play with me. So I've got a guy behind me and I look back and I see him, and I just kind of keep doing my thing. And then, I notice he's trying to catch me. And then I look closer at him, and I'm like, something's, in the distance. And he had his dog with him. He had his Labradoodle or whatever he was, leash tied to the push cart, playing at Charleston Muni. And he got up to me, and we introduced ourselves and whatever. And he's a great guy. And he said, I hope you don't mind that, my dog's here with me. And I said, I love it. I didn't know dogs, were allowed here. And that's such a cool thing. And he's like, yeah, they're really not. He and I live on a boat. We do fishing tours. I don't go anywhere without my dog. And it was the coolest story, because apparently this guy's sister had cancer, and it was her dog. And she died. She passed, and he got the dog. And then as soon as the dog came to him, he got cancer. And he had cancer for several years, and now he's in remission and all good, and the whole thing. And the dog was so good. And I said, how'd you train him? And I'm asking questions like, how'd you get him to do that? How'd you get him to do this? What a good dog. And he just said, I didn't do anything. We don't do training. Like, there's no discipline, like anything like that. My sister did it all. And he goes, I'd never own a dog. He goes, I would have never owned a dog. I got this dog because I needed to have him or whatever. And the guy genuinely loved the animal. And it was a good time. And I played fantastic. That was the best I played in South Carolina. I was just screwing around. I'm like, I'm going to pet the dog. I'm going to screw around over here. Like, oh yeah, this Seth Rayner template green is insane, and I'm probably going to 3-putt it. And you know what? Thinking that it probably would go poorly and just not worrying about it, I 3-putted 0 times at that place. And that's probably something that won't happen again if I return, I'm going to guess, because some of those are, those squares and the punch bowls and I'm no golf architecture nerd now. Now I'm going to get myself in trouble because I'm not speaking intelligently. But the Reed-Ans and whatever else, all those templates, I thought those were really cool for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a place that I've never played, unfortunately.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
No, I'll probably get in trouble for saying lifelong South Carolinian, never playing the Charleston Muni. Driven past it, I can't count the number of times, but yeah, Jonathan, that's one we need on our list.
And that was my first time in South Carolina, period. And it's a spot that we've looked at for potentially moving to later in life, kind of thing. Because it's a weird thing. I've been in Colorado now since I was 19 years old, so 18 years or so. And when I got there, it was kind of a sleepy town, believe it or not. Denver wasn't like nothing special. It wasn't blowing up yet or anything like that. The place is getting crowded at this point. And when I was there down south, it was kind of like Denver used to be. It was kind of laid back and quiet, and people were really nice and just doing their thing. I mean, we're such a mix now. Denver is always funny because they always say we're about 40% Texan, 40% Californian, and then a big mix for the rest. And they let the Midwesterners slide. They mostly are annoyed with the Californians and Texans. So if you're Midwestern in Colorado, you're allowed to stay. Let's put it that way.
That's funny. Yeah, I posted, you talking about the dogs of turf thing. I posted, we have a little rescue mutt. Definitely not a dog of turf, but I posted her picture. She's got one eye and, a face only the parents or the mother could love, right? And I jokingly said, this is no dog of turf. But they have a great logo. Pretty fun to see everybody posting about that kind of stuff. You gave me
best.
You mentioned the golf chat stuff, which is Tuesday nights, by the way. If you aren't a part of that, get on the Twitter, the X, whatever you want to call it, and check out hashtag golf chat. It's a great hour just to chat it up with people. I mean, that's how Reed and I connected. He gives me a hard time because, one of the first questions is, who are you, where are you from, and how was your week of golf? And half the time it's like, all right, I'm Robbie. I'm in Columbia. I haven't done anything this week. I haven't played this week. And it's like, come on, we need to get you out there more.
Yeah, I might have to come down there and give you a kick in the pants a little bit because, yeah, I mean, there's days where it's like that. I think it's Conan O'Brien in the GIF that I've been using a lot, but it's like he's glued to the window, right? He's like looking at. That's how I feel when I see you Southern boys out there playing golf, and I'm looking at snow or I'm looking at 12 degrees or something like that. And Denver's a lot more mild than some people think. You really get the big winter up in the mountains, and you don't get it too bad in Denver. So I surprise people at times too with when I can play. I mean, I played Saturday, Sunday, beautiful conditions last weekend, and people are like, "Is that how it's supposed to be?" But you got no excuses. Like Robbie, you got to be
Well,
out there. And what I get jealous of though with you two is we just talked Iceland, Jonathan. Like some of that international travel, I feel like it was just a few episodes in, and one of you or the other, and I can't even remember who it was now. But like, oh, I'm just coming back from India, and then a different episode is like coming back from here and there. And so I'm very jealous of your travel.
well, I didn't play 150 rounds, but I played more golf than I ever have in my life last year, and some really fun places. I did go out on January 1st this year. I was like, you know what? It's sunny, it's nice. It's $12 to walk 9 holes, and then wouldn't you know it, they count it as a holiday. So it was like 25 or $30. I was like, well, that's all right. It's still nice to go out and play golf.
That's a steal. I don't think I can get that. I don't think I can get that kind of deal anywhere in town.
Yeah, there's a place 2 miles down the road I can go walk 9 for $12, as long as you don't go like Tuesdays and Thursdays at senior mornings. So you got to be careful about that.
Watch out for that one.
We have a group on it's funny you said Tuesday mornings. Tuesday mornings we have a group of that I'm not eligible to play because I'm not old enough, but they're called the Dew Sweepers on Tuesday morning, and so I've been a little jealous of their game for a number of years because I like it. They play a lot of different team games, and they're trying to mix. It's a people thing. They're trying to mix up people and get people to know each other. So I contacted the person that runs that game, and I said, I want to steal your game and put it on Saturdays every once in a while. And he was really excited about it. He's all for it. So we're gonna try that a few times. And like he had this list of games. I never even heard of some of this stuff. Like these partner games and these different things you can do, and they're so creative and so fun. That I maybe that's maybe I'm an old soul or something like that. But I was getting jealous of the seniors and all the fun stuff they do.
Yeah, they're out there playing for fun.
Sounds like you're trying to run for re-election for mayor. Like you've got my vote, and I'm not even a member of the course.
Yeah, it's funny. It's more selfish than it seems. Let's put it that way, because I like having that community around me. I like those people. I really like that like warmth that you feel when you get there. Like I can't go there and not be seen, kind of a thing, or not at least say hi to 8, 9 people. The only time is like dead of winter. I'll go swim at 6 a.m. every once in a while. And there's nobody in there. But yeah, I mean it seems very like community oriented, but I would say it's more selfish than it seems sometimes, because yeah, I get a lot from it too. I feed from that energy, and that those interactions with people, that is what gives me energy. And it's the classic introvert extrovert thing, but yeah, that does give me my energy. Sitting at home watching Netflix, I can get behind that, but it's not how I kind of like feed my soul kind of deal.
Yeah, and if you're his boss, he didn't mean watching Netflix. He meant working studiously to keep up with people.
It's funny. The company I work for, we do some work with the PGA Tour. We're the official technology partner of TGL, and some of those kinds of things. And my job is mostly to hire engineers, software developers for them. So, yeah, I mean, we're brushing up on worlds colliding here at some point.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Well, we ask everybody this, and maybe it was almost the hole in one by yourself. But what is your most memorable golf story?
Yeah. So I think maybe it was just last year, and I think maybe you two have caught wind of this one just a little bit from Twitter, but maybe not. Maybe you'll enjoy this as much as everyone else enjoyed my pain here. You said memorable, you didn't say best. So. So 2 years ago, I won my flight in the club championship, and I was so overjoyed because I played junior tournaments as a kid. I was awful. I was mostly a hockey player as a kid. I finished last, I think, in 9 or 10 straight junior tournaments when I was a kid, and with a big smile on my face too. Like I loved playing these different courts and stuff like that. I wasn't really good enough to be there, but whatever, right? And so I get older. I don't play hockey anymore. Some concussions there, which you could probably tell. But yeah, like I started to focus more on golf and take lessons and do that kind of stuff. And I started to play better in tournaments. And the one I always wanted was club championship. I was like, I want the straight stroke play. I want, and it's whatever, second flight or whatever. And I'm like, I want to win my flight. So I go out and I win my flight. I stared down the guy in second place. We were kind of in a, by ourselves on the second day. We realized that we'd pulled away and we had a battle down the stretch, and I did it. But that wasn't the most memorable round. The thing that was the best was, so come last year's club championship, I'm in a lower flight. So I'd gotten myself down a flight. I think it was third 2 years ago and second this one or something like that. But I got myself down a flight. And then on day one, I went out and shot 77. And I was in the lead by 3 strokes in my flight. And a guy walked up to me and he said, I know you're going to win it again, but you can't celebrate like you celebrated last time. You can only do that once. And I laughed and I was like, I probably won't, don't worry about any of that kind of thing. But, I get to day 2 and I'm in the lead by 3. And I had 2 buddies in my group with me. So 2 guys I play with often that are 3 shots behind me, each one of them chasing me. And they both hit their tee shots on one, which is a little dog leg to the left. Range is here. And then the whole, dog legs away from the range. The range is there and out of bounds. And that's very important because I shanked 2 in a row off the first tee. And I lost my 3-shot lead very, very quickly. I shanked 2 in a row. And then I kept hitting an iron for some reason. And the pro later said to me, he said, why didn't you put a wood in your hand that didn't have a hosel like that? And I said, that is a really good idea. But I shanked 2 in a row. And then I hit one right down the middle for the third one. Thank goodness, right? I get out to it and I hit a high towering shot that just gets caught in the wind or whatever towards the green. And I get a fried egg in the bunker. Well, by the time it was all done, I made a 10. So I make a 10 on the first hole of the club championship, and I'm rattled. I mean, even when I hit the third ball after I shanked 2 out of bounds, I was shaking on the tee. I mean, I'm there like, this isn't working.
Pink Sunday's in trouble at this point.
Pink Sunday was in big
need
trouble.
A shot from the cart girl on 1. Like
I got one on 2, so I got there pretty quick. But I ended up shooting 83 with a 10 on my card, and I crawled back, and I'll never forget it. My friend Bart ended up beating me by a shot, and he's a great guy. I was super happy for him. We almost celebrated the same way because he won it, honestly, is what happened. But he looked at me on 16. And I had been a par machine on the back. I was just par. I wouldn't go away. I wouldn't leave him alone. And he hits one OB, and so he makes a double, and things are getting interesting, right? And he looks at me on 16, and he goes, I can't believe you're doing this to me. And I said, doing what? I made a 10. What do you want from me? And he goes, yeah, if I lose to you with a 10 on your card, I'll never live it down. They'll never let me live it down. So I didn't beat him, but I definitely clawed back. I think all the time, like if you even take a 8 on hole 1, you easily win, right? Like you just cruise and do it. So that was my most memorable, I'll say, is hitting 2 out of bounds. I know it's not the most positive memory, but it makes me laugh still to this day. I mean, our head pro and assistant pro were trying to hold their laughs behind me. Like they're sitting at the table, like trying to be professionals, trying not to laugh at me, but it was a laughable moment. It just had to happen. And then, by the way, the range is just off the first tee. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw me do this. 70 people saw me do this. So yeah, that's going top of memorable, I think.
Got a lot of votes that day though for future. You made yourself look bad. Mayor's
sure.
in the bag. Mayor is in the bag.
I don't know if I'm old enough to be the mayor, honestly, because most of the time, those old guys that are there every single morning, like they lay claim to that title sometimes.
Mayor-elect.
They're like senators. Yeah, it's like 30. Don't you have to be like minimum of 30 and just natural born citizen, right? That's
right.
To be a mayor.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, you're a fan of the show. You might be the only person who's ever listened to all of the shows.
I don't think that's true.
I don't know. We've only like 3 people. So
my wife hasn't listened to all of them.
Oh, come on. They're good.
So we always do a quick 9. You can be as loquacious as you prefer, or you can be succinct. It's up to you. First one, favorite course that you've played?
Yeah, it's Old Mac. out of Bandon, and it's a controversial pick. I've gotten into it on golf Twitter a few times about this. There's a lot of people that they would rank that as their least favorite, and the one that I rank as my Bandon least favorite is a favorite of a lot of people, and that's Bandon Trails is my least favorite of the Bandon course. Although having a least favorite Bandon course is, I don't have any kids. I know you guys do. It's like having a least favorite kid. It's not like you don't love them or anything like that. It's not like it's not good, but it's Old Mac, and the fact that I drained 150 probably foot putt there for an eagle, probably factoring into that, a little bias associated. Had Jerry Lou on my bag. Jerry Lou looper now. I think his handle's loudest looper now that he's had 6 or 7 of them shut down by Elon. So, he's still out there.
Well, hey, it's we asked your favorite, so it doesn't have to be everybody else's favorite. So,
that's
do you
right.
have do you have a course that's at the top of your bucket list? And maybe a realistic
I want to play Pebble.
Pebble? All right.
Yeah, realistic because I can get on it and it's accessible. It's definitely expensive.
Can you afford it next year after the rates go up?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see about that. But I do have comfort spending that kind of money on golf for some reason in a way I don't about other things. Like you two probably feel that. It's like it's just different, right? So I think when I took my guys to True North in the dead of January, in good old Arizona there, it was something like $900 to play 36 that day. So, the penchant to spend that much is in there, even if I have to sacrifice a little bit for it. So yeah, Pebble's realistic. I don't, as much as the old privates are super cool, and there's Oakmont and there's, all those, the country club, right, on Massachusetts, and there's all those clubs. I don't have any specific attachment to any of those. Obviously playing something like Cypress or something like that would be wonderful, but I don't think that's probably top on the bucket list. I've never thought about playing those places. I think about, stuff that, what it was, funny enough, if you had asked me this question when I was a teenager or maybe a little after, I would have said Wolf Creek because I'd played it on the video game over and over and over again. And that was one of the most disappointing golf experiences of my entire life when I actually saw that place for real and realized how kind of goofy it is as far as golf is concerned. The views are, spectacular. But yeah, I think Pebble's the answer there.
Well, I mean, as long as you keep driving the '89 Honda Civic, then it's okay to spend money on golf, right?
I do drive a 2009 Chevy Colorado with 160,000 miles on it, and I haven't had a car payment since 2011. So, kind of.
I can go to golf. That's not a problem at all. All right. So you obviously travel quite a bit here for golf. If you could go somewhere for 2 weeks, but the only thing on the agenda is golf, where are you going?
It's probably Scotland or Ireland, and I'll say it's probably Scotland. In fact, and I just think, the eat, sleep, breathe golf vibe that Bandon offered. I know that the city of St. Andrews and all that kind of stuff is that on a different level. I've never done any of that. I've never played in Europe. I've never done that, and we keep circling around to kind of the cool community that golf Twitter is. I have some people in the UK that I'm very fond of on golf Twitter that I would very much like to get over and see. And so we'll theme that back with people too. I think it's Scotland. Now if it's a less kind of, if it's a domestic kind of deal, if I'm staying in the US, it's probably Bandon, or Pinehurst. I haven't done Pinehurst yet, which, I know I listen to you boys talk about it a little bit, and there's some goodness. You guys you had a special opportunity to go there and do some cool things, but that's probably in that same kind of conversation where it's eat, sleep, breathe golf all the time, and I'm in my element in that kind of a situation. So yeah, it's Scotland, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's a wrong answer there. So I think all those work. But you talk about people on Twitter or social media that you connect with, and you're like, yeah, I want to go play with like UK golf guy, Kieran Harris. I mean, all those folks, Sam Harrop, right? So folks we've had on our show that we were like, these guys are on the list. When we go, we're calling them up. We're going to play.
Yeah, and like Kieran, I think that was the 3rd or 4th show I've heard him be on. So just like you guys, I'm starting to feel more like I know who the heck he is just because I've heard his voice a number of times and follow him on Twitter and all that. So yeah, I mean, there is, as much negative as social media gets, I think there's a good connection point, and you can successfully do those things for sure.
Absolutely. Well, who is in your dream foursome?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've thought about this one a little bit, and there's one guy that's going to be kind of a weird pick from the pro bit, but Hale Irwin is a fellow CU buff. I actually find the success on the senior tour fascinating because some of them, they don't have the motivation to do that, or they don't care, or their bodies break down or whatever. So I think that's really interesting as well. So I'll put him up there. I don't think I could get enough Phil Mickelson and just listen to him bark, and he's probably got a bigger ego than I do. So that's there's not too many of those people out there. So I think I probably have to throw Phil in there, and then I'll give you a sentimental one too. So I have a grandfather that was a U.S. Olympic hockey coach, and he died when I was 10 or 11 years old, and he never wanted me to play hockey, funny enough. And that's all I wanted to do was be him. He just wanted me to play golf. He saw my golf swing when I was a little kid, and he said, just put this kid into golf and have him play golf. And I didn't really follow that. I tried to go and play hockey and, do the whole thing. But I'll slide that grandfather in there. His name's Dave Peterson. He was the coach of the 1988 and 1992 Olympic hockey teams, Calgary in 88 and then Albertville, France in 1992. And if you look into those 1992 Olympics and some of the lead ups and the different, we'll say conflicts that the United States team had with the Swedes, you'll know why I'm not picking Henrik Stenson.
That's funny.
That's
you wanting to play hockey? Are you what they based Happy Gilmore off of a few years and years ago?
No, it's so funny. He was a tough guy, right? And that could not be more opposite of me. So I'm a big guy. I told you that, but at the same time, I grew lanky. I was a lanky kid, and tall but skinny, and my center of gravity was bad, and it just the body didn't grow right for hockey. Period. Honestly, if you look at athletes and what my body is most like, it's like a swimmer, like a Phelps, kind of like huge feet and hands and lanky and goofy and weird, So no, I mean, I, couldn't be less tough if I'm being honest as far as that. So, but Happy's up there with those movies for me, golf movie wise, but the golf movie question could pop up. So I'll leave it there for now.
I don't know if we have it on this one.
We don't have it on the. What's your favorite golf movie?
There you
What
go.
is your favorite golf movie?
I'm a Tin Cup guy.
That's right.
Tin Cup's my number one. I love Costner. My wife, the scene when he throws all the balls in the water, she drives her crazy. Why would he do that? There's so much more money if he does it. Like, all right, you don't get it. Like, it's not part of that. But I will say that I'm a huge Caddyshack fan as well. I had it ruined for me a little bit, and if you ever go work at a golf course, older members will ruin Caddyshack for you. They will quote it to you every day, all day, and it's just a lot. But I did read that book about how it was made and all that kind of stuff, and I found that fascinating. They basically almost didn't make it. Ted Knight was the only professional on the set that would do anything that they needed to do for a while. And then by the time they brought Rodney in, things were getting like a little bit better and that kind of a thing. But yeah, I'm a Tin Cup guy.
Tin Cup's a good answer. All right. What is your favorite major to nap through? You may watch majors, but you mentioned that you just like to nap through pro golf.
You know what it is, Jonathan. You're right there. It's the Masters. The Masters is number one by so much. And it might be because April is still a little dicey for weather, in Colorado and then growing up in Minnesota too. So it's like I could end up inside all Masters weekend kind of a deal. But there's just something about it. It was funny. I was joking with somebody on golf Twitter about the Masters commercial that came out with the Belinda Carlisle on it, right? And it's like I couldn't believe it because one of my favorite things is like you get those Masters commercials with the soft piano music and the and speak of nap time. Woo! That's the best nap material out there. But that's the one where if I fall asleep, I will go back and
Rewind
watch it. Even if I know exactly what happens, I want to see every shot. I want to see the whole thing. So it's the Masters for me, and then probably the U.S. Open after that. Our own National Open, but they're all good for those reasons. And you probably caught on this a little bit. Majors are where I sit up and pay attention. I'm getting a little bit disillusioned with the split here. Like as much as the PIF isn't amazing, like just being one thing would be great again to have them kind of together. And I'm waiting for the Rory question. I know he's your favorite. He's on a lot of the episodes. He's not my favorite, but he's on a lot of your episodes. So I wondered if full Rory would come up in that context. And that's another reason I like the Masters, is because he's never won one, and knock on wood, he's never gonna.
Well, we don't have to ask that question. We don't even have that one on there. But
Nope.
yeah, the next one we were going to ask, what's your favorite club in the bag?
Probably that
It's
3
putter.
iron. He shanked a bunch.
It's putter by a lot. No, and that was only a 5 iron. That was but no. I've got a weird idiosyncrasy with the putting. I'm right-handed, but I putt left-handed, and that did kind of come from hockey. I got grandma's hand-me-downs when I started to play golf, because they didn't know how serious I was going to be about it or whatever. But it had a bullseye putter in it that was, two-sided. And so I took that thing and I flipped it around left, because I was a lefty hockey player. And when I played baseball as a little kid, I batted left-handed and the whole thing. But putter's where I'll hurt people on the course. Like you think I'm out of a hole and I drain a long putt. Here's the thing I should ask. The way I became a good putter is by playing the game walks in almost every round that we play. And I got a nod from Robby. I think Robby knows what walks are. Do you know what walks are, Jonathan?
Never heard of it.
All right. This is a great game that you can add to literally anything you're playing on the course if you're ever out there. So walks is a putting game, and it's all on the greens. So say we're playing in a foursome, and Robby hits one on a green, and it's a big green, and the flag's on the back, and Robby hits it on the front. And I'm going to say walk. Robby, you're walked. And so what that basically means is if he gets up there and sinks his putt, I owe him $10. I owe him $10. Now, if he two putts a wash. So nothing changes hands two putt wise. If he three putts, he owes me $2. And if he four putts, he owes me $10. And I know what you're thinking. Everyone says it when you first teach them walks. They'll say, well, I'm not. Obviously, no one's going to four putt.
There's a lot of 4 putts out there.
Somebody always four putts.
That's right.
Four putts. And then the only other rule to know is just that you can only be walked by one person. So it's not like everyone gangs up on you or anything like that. And if I say walk to Robby or to anyone and their ball doesn't end up being on the green, I automatically owe them $2. And that's basically just a protection rule. If you think it's on the way other side of a green, but you're not sure, we don't want people just calling it willy-nilly. But there are times where you can't see it, where you'll take that risk, right? Because you're like, that looks like a 4 putt if it's on, so I'm taking it. And it's good for 2 reasons. It's good because it keeps everyone involved. Like I could have hit 2 OB and be like that 10 I made. I mean, I could be hacking it up, but if I put it out of the bunker and I'm 40 feet from the hole, it doesn't matter if I'm putting for 9. I'm getting walked probably by my group. And you can't. It's amazing how much $2 after $2 after $2 adds up on you. And then of course you walk someone in a silly situation and they drain a putt and you owe them 10. And we have a couple days per year where we'll double or triple those amounts for walks. So you can obviously set those where you want them and have it for your game. We like the 210 on a normal basis, but yeah, you can have them as 4 and 20 or 8 and 40 or something like that. It doesn't matter what you do it for, but it's a fun game to layer on top of just whatever you're playing. And we're usually playing 2-man best ball, and so don't think that I'm giving mercy to my partner either. Like if he's far away from the hole, he's getting walked.
You're trying to put the good pressure on him.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah.
We would have spent a lot of money at Old Barnwell. I'm telling you, there were some. It was like glass, and there were a couple putts. They had different levels. And you try to hit it up, and it would get caught and come right back down to your feet. It'd have been a day of $10 bills for everybody.
I was going to say, if you go to Landman, there will be a $10 exchange for the 4 putts. I had a goal of no 4 putts when I went and thankfully, no 4 putts. So, but there
So
will be a lot of 4 putts because those greens are the biggest
okay,
ever.
Yeah.
I've got to do that. I need a little bit more Nebraska. And even though it's Nebraska, I need to go out there. We did have an incident that reminds me of that last fall. Actually, we went up to northern Minnesota. And we played a place called the Classic at Madden's, and the Classic at Madden's is an awesome little course, but the thing that happened during COVID was they shut the border for a little while. So the Canadian Tour events that usually all those pros up in the northern part of the country would pop over the border and go to the Canadian Tour, they couldn't go. So they had to find a few courses on the Minnesota side and the upper peninsula of Michigan and those kinds of things to set up Canadian Tour events. So they'd have something to play. And this place, Classic at Madden's, got one. And it's a hard enough golf course as it is, but they went to work getting those greens really fast, right? And so it had happened, I don't know, over a month before we got there. So I didn't think anything of it. And the gal that greeted us when we got to the course said, "Oh, you guys are brave souls playing this afternoon," because it was windy. And I thought, the course is hard, but it's not that hard. And she said, "Oh, no, I just meant that the greens are rolling at a 14." And I just didn't believe it. I just said, no, I mean, yeah, it's a sort of expensive spot up there, whatever, but I don't believe you. Your greens aren't rolling at a 14. That's something the staff says to get it amped up, whatever. Nope, it's not going to happen, right? That was my thought process. And believe it or not, I think they absolutely were. It took me 6 or 7 holes to not 3-putt, I think. And, if you think, it's another one of these things, right? The clownish scratch golfers that think they could compete on the LPGA and stuff like that. You talk about the kinds of conditions that they play. I mean, those Classic at Madden's greens, those weren't as hard as PGA Tour greens. They were rolling fast, but they're not as hard as those greens. Like, you realize how good those guys are because they're shooting those scores you shoot at your club or at your muni or wherever, even if you're a scratch, and doing that under these kinds of conditions, you realize like how touchy a putt is at that kind of a speed. You're like, I breathed on that thing and it went 20 feet. Like and so, yeah, you get those rounds where it takes you a minute to handle that speed and some of that undulation. That's the nice thing about Bandon. They at least don't keep them so fast.
Nice. All right. It might be donuts, but what is your favorite snack on the course?
It's actually peanut butter banana sandwiches. And
That's a good one.
I have heard so many people on this show and on other shows use that dirty word that I do not like, Uncrustables. And those things have so many dang chemicals in them. And listen, if you want a peanut butter jelly sandwich on the golf course, freeze yourself a sandwich, put it in your bag to start the round. It's good by the time you get to the turn, or before if it's hot or whatever. You can put it in a little cooler if you need or whatever. But I've gotten better about this. Donuts are kind of the guilty pleasure in there, but my wife has helped me sort of get my eating to be a little bit cleaner, get the chemicals out of there. And when I hear these guys talk about the Uncrustables, I'm like, man, just make a sandwich. It's really not that difficult. Like, you can do that. I think you can. So it's peanut butter banana for me, but I'm not a big eater on the golf course. I don't love it. I play early because I like to eat breakfast, play, and then when I get off the course, have it be lunchtime. We've been playing in these, 11 a.m., noon, 12:30 kind of times with winter. And I did it both Saturday and Sunday. I had a huge breakfast. I got to the course. I played. Didn't eat another meal till dinner time. I was absolutely starving. Super annoying for my wife. I get home, I need to eat at like 5 p.m. She's like, how old are you? You want to eat dinner at 5 p.m.? What's going on? And then I'm kind of a 9 p.m. Bedtime person sometimes too. So I do get some slack for that. But yeah, I'll put that message out there. If you're thinking about the Uncrustables from a cost perspective and health perspective, make the darn sandwich yourself.
I don't think you're getting any sponsorship from Uncrustables anytime soon.
No, probably not. No, I don't know that. What are they? Smuckers? Smuckers has them. I don't think they care.
Reed.
The Jif and Chiquita Banana folks, they're all over it though.
That's right.
Yep. All right. So we're big into golf course logos and just logos in the golf space in general. Do you have a favorite golf course logo?
That's a great question. I don't know if I do. I really like the simplicity of the Sheep Ranch logo, just the little kind of, I don't even know what that thing's called that the rancher would have.
The little shepherd crook thing.
Yeah, I like that one. But no, honestly, I I regret this, but for whatever reason, when I first started to go to kind of bucket list courses, I didn't buy anything. I would just go in and play and kind of look around, and then after my round, I'd be tired and I'd leave, and I wouldn't buy anything. So like I think I went to Wecopa out near Scottsdale probably 5 times before I bought a darn thing. And they've got some cool logos on the cacti and stuff like that. Now, my own home club, the club at Inverness, basically has 2 logos, and one is the worst and one is fantastic. So I'll give you that. So we've got one that's kind of just a scripting. It says Club at Inverness. Couldn't hate it more. Couldn't tell you how much I hate it. But there's also a little, and sometimes they put them together fairly enough, but there's just a circle, and it has kind of a Rocky Mountain outline on it, and it's just mountains back there. So that's a good one too. You'll probably hear people talk about Fossil Trace a little bit when they talk about the Denver area, some spectacular views out Golden, out towards the mountains, and they've got some dinosaur theme logo kind of stuff because they found literal fossils on the course, and that's a big part of what it is. I'll take you there, Jonathan. You'd like that too, but yeah. So there's a lot of good ones out there. I don't know if I have an absolute favorite. I get the feeling that if and when, really it's when, I don't think it's if, but when I get to Pinehurst, I probably buy quite a few things with the little guy on them. I like that little logo too.
Yeah, Putter Boy. I don't know if you saw their video they did the other day. They took a ton of pictures to have the Putter Boy logo on it, and they had it perfectly centered, and then did like a rolling reel of all the pictures kind of flashing up and him staying in the same spot, and it was really cool. Check out the Pinehurst Resorts Instagram feed for that thing. It was really cool. Really well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I made extra days. I'm gonna have to come out. I got a little bit of work and then a couple days to.
I'm trying to figure out how I can get out there now.
I know,
like,
exactly.
I need to tag on to Jonathan's trip here.
I wonder if they'll give me like 2 queen beds and we'll just like sneak Robbie in.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Finish this sentence. I love golf because.
That's tough. All right. I love golf because I love golfers. I think.
Nice.
It's weird. The golf Twitter thing happened for me in an extensively organic kind of way. I never really liked Twitter to start out with. I kind of thought like, oh, this is a black hole. I dabbled and I deleted all these, but I dabbled on the political side of Twitter. That was the worst thing I've ever done ever. It was just awful, and some of that kind of stuff. And hockey Twitter is pretty bad as well. You start debating goals and calls and stuff with people, and I think the NFL Twitter is just as bad sometimes, yelling at each other about all that. It's rigged for this team, and it's all because of Taylor Swift and all this malarkey. But yeah, the golfers are a little bit different. They got a little bit different vibe, and that was one thing that was always true when I worked at courses in high school and college. I always genuinely liked the people that were members of the club that I was serving, that they treated me well. When I was underage, they magically left a 6-pack in their cooler a bunch of times, stuff like that. They loved me and they treated me right. So yeah, I think I love golf because of who golfers and what they are.
Very well. We talk about it. Jonathan mentioned earlier. It's all about who you know, who you get to play with, and the golf Twitter. But just in general, the golf community is a really cool place. We're meeting incredible people like yourself. We're already setting up tee times to come play with you. So, Reed, we appreciate you joining us on the Whole Story podcast today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm honored. I'm not quite as interesting as some of those guests you've had. I've been really impressed by the people that you've gotten on here. I know that even though I've become a little disillusioned with the tour, like I'm a golf channel watcher, right? And it's like you got Michael Whalen on here, you got the whole Whalen story, the whole thing. Some of those episodes are just unbelievable. So I was honored to even be asked.
Yeah, well, if you're shocked, we are even more shocked. Jonathan, I keep saying, we're barely into year 2, coming up in March. We'll kind of lap the first year, but we've just been blessed and having fun, meeting new people, and if you like golf, you're perfect for this because we love golf stories. So
That's right.
this
Yeah,
has been
I have a
great.
question though that you guys need to add into your repertoire that I would like to see
Yeah.
asked that
What
I've
is it?
seen. So you've got some interesting guests on here, and I think you ask your guests who to go get for next guests. And I've got one for you that's one of your Southern guys that I think you'll really like. His name's Andrew Struther, AB Struther on the golf Twitter. He's been out to play out in Colorado with me a couple times. He's chasing the mini tours and doing that bit. But he is an awesome guy. He's very giving with like golf tips and stuff like that. He fixed my bunker game a little bit last time I saw him, and he's got some good stories about chasing the mini tours and stuff like that. He finished top 5 in the Colorado Open a couple years ago, which is as you maybe know, the biggest purse of any state open in the entire country. It's where I got to meet Monday Q last year, which was a lot of fun. He came out for that. So Andrew Struther is got to be on the list at some point. He is way more interesting than me. He's got the cool accent. He's your guy.
Yeah, we'll definitely add him to the list. Yeah, for sure. No, if anybody else out there, if our other listener out there is listening, please, we'll take any and all recommendations. We've got folks that we've reached out to, and we'll keep. And Jonathan and I've been doing sales forever, so asking somebody to come on a podcast is the easiest sale ever. And if they say no, well, it's like, well, somebody out there wants to come on, but we've been blessed with many people being like, yeah, we'll jump on this thing with you. So. I mean, golf stories are one of those things that everybody has one. It might be a great shot. It might be an embarrassing shot. But somebody has something to do or something to say about golf. And it's a lot of fun getting to help people tell those stories.
Absolutely.
So, Reed, we appreciate you joining us. We do need to recommend for those out there, check out Caddy Tales. Mark the Caddy does a great job with his new podcast, Caddy Tales, something that us here at Best Ball are able to help him with. We've got some other stuff in the works we're excited about, so stay tuned for that. If you do like the Whole Story podcast, please follow it and tell others about it. Reed will tell others, but follow Reed on Twitter, X, whatever this thing's called now. We will post his tag in the show notes, but you need to check him out. He's obviously always talking about golf and where to play, and if you head up to the Colorado area, maybe you can get around with him. So for Jonathan and Reed, this is Robbie. We appreciate you guys listening to the Whole Story podcast.